Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got my weekly update video. At this point we're about 5 weeks out from the North American Championships, so the peak is in full swing and the weights are starting to slowly but surely ramp up. I would say this was probably my busiest week leading into summer before things are going to kind of slow down a little bit and I'll really get to focus on training. So Natalie, my girlfriend, and I traveled down to Savannah, Georgia early in the week to celebrate 4th of July and her brother's birthday. Shout out to Evan if you're listening, Evan. We had a great time, but I always do have some, reservations or anxiety about training on the move. Fortunately, I was able to get into the local YMCA because I had to train early on Monday. I was doing some estimations and, the squats had to be low bar squats instead of safety bar squatting. And I did go a little bit heavier than I ended up being prescribed by Bill, but that'll be no issue. We'll kind of keep rolling into the next week. All of the reps were easy enough. I felt like even though it wasn't a safety bar squat, the whip from the bar and the bumper plates kind of felt like a squat variation anyway. So here we are working on some pull-ups as well, working on full range of motion to continue building the back for what hopefully should be a big deadlift come August. So rolling into day 2, this was the second day that I had at that local Y. This was the 4th, I believe, and bench press went fantastic. I had talked about it in an earlier video during the week where I had expected to have to auto-regulate things down from the week prior at 370, but everything was just moving so well. We went up and hit this set with 400 pounds. The sets that I actually did, it was I did 390 for 2 sets, 385 for a set, 395 for a set, and then 400. So I kind of slowly inched up because I didn't want to overshoot. And then I did my sets of 12 with 275 on incline press. These felt pretty good. They definitely kind of burn out my shoulders after the 5x5 on this day as well. So things are rolling. Day 3 was really the day that I felt like I was lagging behind because we drove home on Wednesday. So that ended up being like a 13-hour drive. And these RDLs just kind of felt like death, to be honest. To look at them, they don't move poorly. And overall, I'm pretty happy with them still being 585 pounds. I can't complain a whole lot. But I felt the fatigue start to creep in. And I can tell my belt's starting to fit a little bit more loosely because of, some weight loss. We're still on the diet train. I feel like I did a good job down in Savannah, sticking to the diet, prepping my meals well, while still having a good time and letting myself relax a little bit. So we're catching a good balance there. Here we are, tempo bench. I think I did a better job with the 5 count tempo on the way down this week than I did last week. Overall, pretty easy, and I feel like I'm catching on to the slight sink at the bottom of the bench, and I hope that transfers over to, in competition, my pauses should be better as I let my chest take some of that tension. Just linearly progressing this hip sled, I placed my feet a little bit lower, which helped prevent low back rounding as much as last week. I'm also trying out these new Nike Romaleo Force that I've got, so keep an eye out for my follow-up video where I share my thoughts after I've gotten to use them for some actual heavy training. plenty of room to progress, but I find this apparatus does a really good job burning out my quads. So that was a solid close for day 3. And then we had Saturday, day 4. This was in the morning. We had a wedding to go to in the afternoon, so I had to get in there and get the job done. The first thing that I'll say is it was very hot in the gym today, and that came through on squats and a little bit on deadlift, but overall things are moving well. This is 675 for my top double. I would call this probably a smooth RPE 7 or 8. If I wanted to be aggressive, call it a 7. You know, I had an epiphany as I was walking it out. I, of course, got stuck on the rack again, and it dawned on me that 675 doesn't feel all that heavy anymore, which is, you know, that's significant progress, even if it's not super measurable. You know, you all can know that feeling that I'm talking about of confidence under a certain weight, and I'm feeling it with 7 plates at this point, which is good. Here are the back downs. I had 2 sets of 5 at 600 pounds, and these were super solid. I wanted to get this kind of side angle to check my depth, and I do believe I'm just in on all of my reps, so pretty happy with this overall. My bar path is good, and speed is overall pretty good as well. So not a whole lot more to say. Lots of room to progress. Little bit of knee soreness today, and I'm just feeling it. You know, I'm filming this after the wedding, so some of the dancing, my body was just beat from this day of lifting, and had a little bit of knee soreness creep in, but it's nothing to be too concerned about in my opinion. Then second on the docket today, it was just a heavy SBD day all around. Was a top single at 430 pounds. Once again, probably a bit of an undershoot. It was supposed to be an RPE 8, but the thing is, the back down sets are sets of 4 with 10 kilos below whatever I hit for my top single, and I didn't want to push it too aggressively and pigeonhole myself into too difficult of sets of 4 for my back downs. So with that solid 430 single, we have 415 for 4s. My first set was actually atrocious. Honestly, I was being a little bit tentative. The first couple of reps were nice and fast, but I reverted back to a light touch on the 3rd rep, and it just slowed everything down. So that first set was probably an RPE 9. And then as you can see here, this is my 3rd set. It probably goes to an RPE 8, or at least 829 for this set overall. And then we closed out the day with heavy deadlifts. This is my first time touching over 700 pounds on a deadlift since back in February for nationals. So that's been a solid at least 5 months, which is a long time without touching a heavy weight. But I was very happy with how this moved, especially after a long day where it was hot. The first thing I'll say, it probably moved a little more slow than it otherwise would have, because I started to pull it kind of out of my hand. It was so humid in the gym today that I was having, like, the chalk didn't want to stick to my hands even. So, you know, still happy with how that moved. Then we had 2 back down sets of 5 with 625. Nice and easy, as they should be. Overall, I'm feeling, you know, in a great spot, especially coming out of this week. This will probably be the most stressful week in the lead up. So we got all the travel behind us. Now it's time just to dial things in, and things will get heavy and have fun. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe as always. And until next time, happy lifting.